Hello and welcome back to South Coast Busways, here at the NF garage in Lymington with Jurassic County. And, well, I've done some stuff off camera, and these are some Scania N230UD OmniCities. These are the new model by TP Ram. I think they're gorgeous, and these, canonically, have been cascaded from the Isle of Wight. They would have been cascaded in 2017 when the 10.3 meter MMCs were new. And these first two I actually did buy as used buses, but it was taking so long that the rest of them I had to buy as new, because it took me like an hour and a half to get these first two, and they just weren't showing up on the used thing, so the rest are all new. I would have liked to have bought them all used. But that's that. While I was buying my OmniCities, while I was trying to get them all as used, I went over, and, you know, some of the classics came out. And this is going to be sort of the soft launch of the National Collection, which is going to be, you know, classic National Busways vehicles from the early days that predate the type codes. So these are the I'm calling these the twins, the national twins, 1025 and 1026, the first new nationals. And then there's the Titan twins, which are ex-London, CL104V and or CUL104V and CUL105V, 4104 and 4105. And then there's this Olympian 4117, which would have been new to National, and then this one, which I think is ex-Strathclyde PTE 4181, Volvo Elsa with ALXRV bodywork. Then there's this Metrobus that I haven't assigned a license plate or fleet number to yet, but these are the National Collection buses, and at some point I will be getting both the E-Bus DLC and the Sightseeing DLC, and with the Sightseeing DLC I will be using these National Collection vehicles on some like Sundays only sightseeing type services, you know, like a heritage type operation. And that because NF is basically done, the collection will be based at NF for the South Coast. But that's where we are with the, you know, that's the National Collection. These will all get liveries in time. I actually have liveries kind of ready to go for the Titan, and I think I do for the Olympian? Hang on. Do I have a livery ready for the Olympian? Because if I do... Right. Import repaint. East Kent. See, there's the A type. Oh no, that's the Elsa. The N type is the National, but I think that's using the old model. So yeah, no, I don't, because the T type is the Titan. Okay, cancel. Right. There is, of course, one route from here that we haven't launched yet, and it is why we have the OmniCities. And that is the 307. But before we go into the 307, I'm going to start the gradual process of painting these up into the Jurassic County Morse livery. And what I want to show off this. This is an interim branding livery that I've made based on the Southern Vectis green of the Landore scheme. So covering where it says Southern Vectis, we have our sort of Morse advert type thing that just covers it up and says, you know, I've just arrived, be smartened up. You know, keeping the tone of voice very friendly for National Busways. I really like that. Ignore the alignment. But, you know, it says it again on the back over the National Busways logo. And then if I go forward, you can see the garage code is in the new typeface, and it has this little black outline around it, because that's just a sticker over where it says SV. Just little details like that make me really happy. And if we go over to this side, over the green is the sort of dark colour from here with the Jurassic County legals on it. But let's go back to South Coast and put the proper livery on. This is the Jurassic County Morse livery. It's sort of a mustard yellow. We have the branding because it's Euro 6 or like, you know, they're Euro 6 compliant now. And I've put the little leaf at the back of the bus. You know, this one is like literally where the engine is. And I think these have taken to the Morse livery really, really well. So, yeah, that is the second SD type in the new livery. So let's go ahead and launch the 307 from Lymington to Bournemouth. Our first route to Bournemouth. So just to recap, the 337 starts in Lymington, where it does the sort of the triangle thing, down through Pennington, Everton, Hordle, New Milton, Highcliffe-on-Sea, Christchurch, Folkestone, Boscombe and Bournemouth. And it supposedly needs 12 buses, or 8, but I have bought 12. So, well, I have cascaded all 12 from the Isle of Wight. So, let's go back to the map, stop being dumb, and actually get this route launched. 307, Lymington to Bournemouth. I feel like this route could end up being quite the money spinner, but I do want to make sure that it's not the only route that goes that way out of Bournemouth, because it's not actually meant to be like a Jurassic County sort of, or Jurassic City route. It's meant to be a regional connection out to Lymington. It just so happens that it will probably be very, very busy. Because, you know, it's the only route that goes that way. It's, well, you know, it's the only route to Bournemouth right now. Like, this is a new part of the map. Entirely new. And I am very excited. Because above it you'll see the 300 from Bournemouth to Southampton. So the 307 won't be remaining the only route in Bournemouth for very long. In fact, it won't last until the end of this episode. So let's go into the shift scheduler for NF. Assign drivers to this garage. I should have enough. And then it looks like I've not set the 307 up to prefer the SD type, but I can do it manually for now. These are these YP57s. Ooh. Let's put those in the vehicle group, because of course I bought them used. So let's just get these all assigned. $18.50, any takers? No. $19.40, we do have one. No, we don't. Well, I guess we're putting that there, and that there. Very nice. The 307 is happening. And to be fair, the New Forest is far better served by National Busways than it is in real life by Moorebus, Blue Star, etc. So, you know, I think the people of the New Forest will be enjoying their green and now yellow buses to various parts of Hampshire and Dorset. And I can't wait to get all of this. Dorset, I've been really looking forward to it. Also, look at how big Bournemouth is, and then there's Poole over there. Like, this is going to be huge. When is the first one of those OmniCities actually leaving? Because I do want to have a look. And I want to get the screenshot. I want that to be these. Or I want to have a choice between these or the buses for the 300, because that livery is done. We will be launching it this episode. So let's just take that screenshot, and hopefully that should be enough room for both the yellow one and the green one. So now, let's go over to the 307, just edit its timetable to prefer the SD type, so that I don't need to worry about a classic bus accidentally slipping onto it, because we don't want that. They are not Euro 6 compliant. And then I'm going to do the same with the 300 from Bournemouth to Southampton, but it's going to prefer the TE type, because we're going to be using a special version of the TE type to run on the 300. So I'll just get that sorted. That's not going to run from SV. Oh, do I need to make the timetable for it? That's going to go from Ringwood, edit timetable. Oh no, the timetable's actually done. Cool. So let's go down to the TE type. Doesn't actually exist. Okay. Well, I'll get that sorted out later then. In the meantime, let's wait for an OmniCity to head out on 307s. Okay, so we haven't got long to wait. This one's going out at 1350. So I'll let you get to 1330, then I'll run it down to 1 times speed. And, you know, when it goes, hopefully the destination looks okay. So it's 1325 now. T7, 1329, 1330. And then we wait. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in, so that when it moves, it appears to be moving faster. There we go. So yeah, there's a 307. It's going to Lymington. Then you're going at 1410. But let's follow our first one out to Bournemouth. The lag has hit this save, unfortunately. I don't know why. I literally just fired this save up. This is just how this save performs now. And it's one of those things where I almost don't... I do kind of know what's doing it, and I also don't. So... the game is laggy. The game is laggy. I love how the dead run basically doesn't touch the actual route of the 307. It goes a completely different way. Wow, it goes a completely different way. Even into Bournemouth is different. But this is going to be the 1430 from Bournemouth to Thingy, and I've just ruined everything. Let's sit it there, and we're about to go. So it's time for the first 307 from Bournemouth to Lymington. And we already have loads of people on board. This will bode well for profit. It will not bode well for capacity. We will be needing a very high frequency sort of core city network around Bournemouth. To which I say, bring it on. Yeah, we've got 54 people on board. It's the first run. On its first day, there's no event on. What's going on? Yeah, we're in the red, and we're about to hear Boscombe. Yeah, that's not boded. That's not gone well for the 82 capacity on these things. Oh well. Let's kick it up to 2 times speed, because there is that X7 that I want to look at and get assigned. I don't know why it's come unassigned. But just coming down through Christchurch now, and yeah, we're quietening down. So that's good. We should have enough time to actually get services implemented within Bournemouth before the 307 starts to become really constrained. With the way the 307 works is that it runs half hourly, and rather than splitting the timetable just at about 7 PM between a higher frequency daytime timetable and a lower frequency evening timetable, it's actually 2 timetables stacked on top of each other. There's an hourly basic timetable and then a half-hourly timetable that applies to shorter hours on top of it. So that should work better. I've been using that. I think I used it a bit in West Scotland, and I also use it off camera in a new off-camera save that I'm doing with some friends around West Yorkshire, which is going quite well. Autosave. Very nice. So, coming up into New Milton now. And yeah, numbers have come down quite nicely. The bus is now about as full as I would expect, but we definitely want that route to be deckers for its bit in Bournemouth. To think I was originally going to run this route with streetlights. Ugh. And just coming into Lymington now. That gives us plenty of time to work on Ringwood Garage. So, I will head over to Ringwood Garage, and I'll fix the X7s, and I will see you when... Or should I just keep you with? Because I am cutting this episode really fine, like more fine than normal. It is 20 to 4 on the day that this video goes live. So that's fun. So yeah, that's now fixed. The X7 is now fixed. Let's head over to Ringwood. Bus routes. We want the X7 to prefer WV type, because we're not going to be using WV types on the 300, so it does matter now. In fact, we'll be using TE types, as I said, but special ones. So let's edit its timetable to prefer the WV type. Very nice. Then let's head back to Ringwood and have a look at getting buses for the 300, which will be the first half of the Dorset Limited service out to Bournemouth from Southampton, obviously. So, let's buy some new buses. Actually, before we do that... Oh, I'm so bad at this. We need to check how many buses we need for the 300. So let's show timetable. on that. Oh yeah, this wasn't showing up properly. That's unfortunate. Yeah, why does that not want to work? I remember this. Yeah, this timetable didn't actually want to work. And I don't know why. So, I think it's the inbound timetable that wasn't working. Yes, the inbound timetable is not working. Let's see what happens if I do that. Timetable preview. What's going on? Oh, I see what's happened. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I need to offset this by half an hour. Let's start this inbound from 7:15 until 23:15. There we go. Now that should be working. That is working. Very nice. And then I'm just going to make the same modification to there. And confirm. And I've not done the thing that I needed to do. So we need to go back to the 307. I'm good at this, aren't I? And fix it. Well, not fix it. Just do the thing. So that is show timetable. And work out how many buses we need. So let's take the 6 o'clock from Bournemouth. Gets to Southampton at 7:22, where it should take out the 7:45. Where it gets back to Bournemouth at 9:10, where it should take out the 9:30. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I will buy 12 buses for the 300. So let's go back to the garage. And we will double the occupancy rate at the Ringwood bus garage. And this is what I have cooked up. This is an Enviro400 MMC in the Express livery, and I'm deliberately looking at the front because it's a long boy. It's 11.5 meters, and you might be wondering, what is that blocked off section there in the window? This is all very weird. But before I look at the back, which will be the giveaway, this is the Dorset Limited livery. It is the Express livery that we debuted on the X7, but rather than red to green, it is sort of this dark mustard yellow to red, because it goes from Jurassic County rather than New Forest Greens to Solent Red. Oh look, there's more of this that's been blocked off. I wonder what that is. You know, this is all very nice. This is all very me. You know, Jurassic County legals, RWTE on the roof. It's an 11.5 meter Enviro400 MMC. It's all the capacity. And if we go to the back, where's the back window gone? Well, what's happened to the back window? Why is there a vent there? Well, it turns out that the 8.9 litre Cummins ISBE that powers the Enviro500, which is the big triaxle version, is also offered in Hong Kong at least for the Enviro400. So what I've done is I've said, hey ADL, can we get the big engine in a UK spec bus? And ADL have obliged, and we have the big 8.9 litre engine, which requires extra ventilation, hence the vent replacing the rear window. This is a template modification that I have made. So yeah, and the 8.9 litre Also has just some bigger gubbins underneath, so it, you know, raises this bit up a little bit, which is why that's been blocked off. Just a few thoughtful things. Also, the lines here line up so much better than on the Gemini. This template is such a joy to work with. This is TP Ram's Enviro400 MMC, and I'm very, very, very happy with how this has turned out. It's just beautiful. And of course, because it's a longer bus, we have an extra repetition of the XPS Morse symbols. And yeah, I can't wait to see these running up and down. Is it the A3? It's still at that point? I think it's still the A3. Oh dear. I'm making all sorts of horrible noises. Right. Our Enviros have arrived. This is going to be... this is going to say... Express. Copy that, because that's an awkward thing to type out with the capital X in the middle. Ringwood. Fleet number is going to be TE... Now I'm trying to remember, because I had an off-camera save in East Kent set in like 2020, and I had some 69 plate Enviro400s, and they were like they started like TE 1650 around there, so I'm gonna have this one be TE, because these are gonna be 68 reg, TE 1521. That sounds reasonable. And this is going to be let's go with HA68 DSE. Because at some point eventually we'll get HA68 DST in there, and that's going to be Dorset. Express, Ringwood, fleet number TE 1522, HA68 DSF, and I'll get the rest of these done in a happy little jump cut. And finally, we have HA68DSR, better known to us as TE1532. There's our first 12 ADL Enviro400 MMCs with the big 8.9 litre engine, as fitted to the Enviro500, ready for service on the 300. So let's get that activated, shall we? The 300 is a 24-hour service as well. The 400 won't be, but the 300 to Bournemouth will be a 24-hour service, because Bournemouth is huge. You know, it's like the main part. There will be 24-hour services between Bournemouth and Poole, so there will, if you change in Bournemouth, be 24-hour connections between Southampton and Poole. But the 300 is going to be the only one of the two Dorset Limiteds that is 24-hour in itself. If that makes any sense. So let's activate that now. And then before I forget, once it's activated, I will go into the timetable maker and get it so that it wants to use the TE type specifically, so that we don't end up with B5s doing massive dual carriageway runs, which is why I've spec'd these with the 8.9 litre, or it's why I've imagined these spec'd with the 8.9, because the dual carriageway sections on the 300 especially are so much longer than the non-stop sections on either of the Southern Limited routes or the X7. So this just helps it, you know, the 8.9 litre just is going to be better for long distance operation. And then let's make sure it wants the TE type. There we go. So yeah, the 300, it starts in Bournemouth and it starts over here, comes down through Bournemouth, and then it joins the big dual carriageway and flings itself up here. Then it stops there at this turn, which is where the 400 will continue this way down to Poole. Then the game will have a moment. But you can see that it goes into Ringwood, goes like that, and then it pops out the other side and we make a couple stops within Ringwood, and now I'm waiting for the game. So, coming out of Ringwood, we stop there, and then we have a stop here at Forest Corner, another stop all the way up here at Stony Cross, and then another one just up the road at Castle Melwood, before turning and making a next stop at Cadnam Roundabout, and then running limited stop into Southampton. So, let's head over to the shift scheduler for Ringwood Garage and get this all set up. Very nice. There's some 300s. I think they're going to be beautiful. So let's head over to Ringwood, the Bus Garage. And I don't know what the first one is. So I need to check. Okay, 1740. I don't think it's going to be... It might be that one, actually. 1735. Why is that doing an X7? You get off X7s. Right, does the X7 need changing again? Not the shift schedule. We want the routes. These 307s are all very, very busy. But again, I'm not worrying too much, because we will have a Portsmouth City service out to Christchurch. In fact, we will have multiple that go to at least about here. So, I'm not worrying about anything. Oh no, it's just today that's a problem. Yeah, it's just today that's a problem, that's fine. Cool. And now I've completely forgotten which bus was going to go on the first one. I love getting distracted. So let's just run the game along at high speed and just wait over Bournemouth. That was one click on my scroll wheel. So was that. There we go. Just wait on top of Bournemouth, just having a look. Waiting for things to show themselves. But the 307 is busy. The 307 is so busy. Aha, we have a friend. We have a friend arriving who will do the 1800 from Bournemouth to Southampton. Due at 1922. So let's see what kind of numbers it does. I'm expecting it to be quite high within Bournemouth, and then to taper off as we get out of town onto the fast dual carriageway sections, especially during the route's early days. But we are carrying a lot of people, and there were 40 people waiting at that stop. Oh my. So, about to get onto the dual carriageway now, and we've still got a good number on board. I'm happy about that. That's good. That's very nice. Oh wait, we have the stop on Wessex Way. Duh. We're not... And now we're on the long dual carriageway bit. Next stop is at 1826. In real life, because ADL don't offer the big engine with the Enviro400 MMC, I suppose this route could be run with coaches? I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if a route like this would be run with coaches in real life. But in a world where we can have the big engine in the 400, why not? It makes it, you know, it's a bus, it's not a coach. And I don't know, it just felt right to go with a nice high spec, like I'd imagine these would be a similar spec to Transdev's Whichway buses, because, you know, they have the premium seats. So, you know, these would be very nice buses, and that high spec is why we've also gone for the long ones, just so that we get high spec and high capacity. And you know what, we're actually doing alright on the dual carriageway bit. For time and for people on board. So that's very good to see. There's an X7, there's a lot of express routes around here now. Actually no, that's not an X7, that would be another 300. Oh yeah, so it would. Next stop is at Totten Shops at 1903. And now we're getting into the seriously busy part of the map, known as Solent Red. And then another 10-minute non-stop sprint down to Southampton Central. So the run from Bournemouth to Southampton Central takes about an hour. On the X, or this isn't X, this is just the 300. So it's not competing with the train for speed, but hopefully it could compete with the train for comfort, because these are very high spec buses to like regular regional trains. And it's certainly a more relaxing experience than driving, so... You know, I think this service would have commercial viability in real life. Someone, please put it in. Whether it be Blue Star or Moorbus, or whether they bring back yellow buses. But our next run is 1945 to Bournemouth, which gets in at 21:10. So I'll just speed things along. And we'll head back down to Bournemouth. So it's almost time to go. And it is now time to go, so let's go. Let's run at a 2x speed because Southampton is so laggy that it does take a while to get out. Naturally it's laggy because there's a lot of bus routes into Southampton now. There is so many. Right, 1956 leaving Central Station, due at Totten Shops at 20:08. And now going through Bartley and Cadnam. Let's slow this down to 1 times now, because the game should be able to cope with itself and give us a decent amount of speed. Whizzing down the dual carriageway, stopping at Castle Malwood and Stony Cross, and then down to Forest Corner, which is a good old run. Forest Corner being the stop before Ringwood, White Hart being the first stop in Ringwood. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. That was Forest Corner, and that's White Hart. Then up here we have Fieldway, cross over the dual carriageway and into Ringwood, where we're going to stop at Meeting House Lane, which it appears is like a sort of long bus station, if you will. Then at that stop, which is where the 400 splits off, or will split off, and then a long run down to Bournemouth, where we will stop on Wessex Way. It's not doing too bad for a first day, I can't lie. Leaving dual carriageway now onto local roads, where I'd imagine we pick up quite a few on the run into the town centre. Is Bournemouth a town or a city? I feel like it's a city, but Reading also feels like it should be a city, but Reading's a town. So I don't know. But we're just coming into Bournemouth now, closely followed by a 307. Into Bournemouth Square, and then just one more stop to make at Bournemouth Triangle, and that is the 300. So, I think it's now time to begin work on a Bournemouth local run. So, the way that I'm going to do these is we're going to have the 1 and the 2 are going to do kind of like what the M1 and the M2 do in real life, where one runs from Bournemouth, one runs from Poole. The one from Bournemouth runs further west, the one from the one from Poole runs further east. But they have that section between Bournemouth and Poole where they're very, very frequent. But I'm going to focus my efforts on alleviating the 307 out to Christchurch by perhaps running... You know what, that can be the 7. Ooh, that's fun, yeah, that can be the 7. So, let's go get a new route colour. I have a bunch of hex codes that I found on the internet that I really like. Just need to find them again. I literally just searched for mustard yellow, and then I found one that had a lot of them. And why are they not showing up on my laptop? Yeah, why aren't they showing up on my laptop? Interesting. Okay, hang on. I think I've found it. Yes, I have. Cool. So for town services for the Jurassic City services, the colour we're going to be using for the routes is FEC507. So the way hex code works, I don't know if you all know this, but FE, that's your red channel. So that's how much red we're putting in, FE. And then the next channel is green, that's how much green we're putting in, C5. And then the last channel is how much blue we're putting in, 07, which is just a tiny amount. There we go. And I'm going to go onto OpenStreetMap and find a good place to start this, rather than starting it from one of these sort of interchange areas. Could I maybe have it do something local within Bournemouth first? Well, up here is a place called Alum Chine. So I think I will have it start from Alum Chine. So this is going to be the 7. Bournemouth to Christchurch. There we go. And we're going to come out like that, through Bewley Road, Alumdale Road. These stops feel really weirdly spaced. And then we're going to join at this mess of an interchange, or mess of a sort of road junction, and the camera's jumping everywhere when I try and zoom it. It's always a good sign. Interesting. I think the way that that would actually work is it would go this way. So we're going to go through Westbourne, and I'm going to put another stop here for Westbourne Arcade. That's just a little bit more centered between those stops, just for this route. Woolly Hill. Then we're going to stop on Terrace Road like that. At the Odeon, then this side of Bournemouth Square. Oh, let's actually stop at the Odeon. Then at St Peter's Church, Hinton Road top of Bath Hill, Lansdowne, and then we're going to run along the 307, so post me if you don't mind. And we now have the 7 between Bournemouth Alum Chine and Christchurch. So, I'm going to disappear into the timetable. I'm thinking of running this about every 15 minutes. And the 7 is now done from Bournemouth Alum Bay to Christchurch. So, Mondays to Saturdays we are splitting it into core and extra. The core service runs from 5 until 23:30 every 30 minutes. The extras double that to a quarter-hourly frequency. I think it's from 5:15 till 21:45 or something like that. The game's had a moment. I've chosen the best time to come back, as I always do. So, yeah. They have 5 minutes of stand time at Christchurch and 10 minutes of stand time at Alum Chine. Not Alum Bay, Alum Chine. Alum Bay is on the Isle of Wight. Yeah, 6:15 till 21:15 is for the extras. They return from 5:28 till 23:28, and from 6:43 till 21:43. And actually, I'm going to make that last one 2300. There you go. Then Sunday outbound, or Sundays, is run every 20 minutes from 6 till 10, returning from 6:28 until 22:28. And let's check easy mode just to see what that's going to look like on a day. Hopefully the game knows how to compute these more complex timetables. I think it does. And yeah, it's going to be busy. And it says we'll need 10, so it's going to be a very busy route, and we'll activate that later because we don't have the garage for this set up yet. It's going to be on Mallard Way, which I think is up here? Is this Mallard Way? Or Mallard Road, even. And yes, it is. Because I'm led to believe that on this site was the original, like, Yellow Bus's garage from, like, way back in the day. But I'm putting it there. This building is the building that all of the websites took me to. And it's currently a B&M. And you go as far back as possible on Google Street Map, and it shows it as being a home base, RAP home base. There's nothing whatsoever about it being a bus garage, but because everything's led me to believe it's there, the Mallard Road being on the legals is because of that. So yeah, if you want to know, if you're from Bournemouth or you're familiar with Bournemouth, and you want to know where my headquarters for Jurassic County is, it's the B&M on Mallard Road, just up there. Yeah. I don't know what it is with me taking over retail units to use as major bus garages, but like the one in Southampton, that's an abandoned Toys R Us. Southampton City Garage is an abandoned Toys R Us. So, you know, I use abandoned retail units. I mean, the B&M isn't even abandoned anyway. That is going to be it from me this week on the South Coast. So I'm going to return to the New Forest Greens Garage in Lymington. And I think we end off by looking at the National Collection, which is of course going to grow as time goes on. And of course they'll get liveries, because they're all various shades of grey. But from the National Collection, I will see you next week from the South Coast. Bye bye.